And now we can get to Olympiacos against Fenerbahce, and Fenerbahce would be a tough obstacle to overcome for Olympiacos. But in my opinion, Olympiacos is too complete, too deep, too good, and too well coached to not go to the finals. So I'm starting with my prediction since the first stages of this analysis, and I think that they will break the first seed curse this season. But Fenerbahce is a tough opponent, especially in an elimination game. Their defense is very physical and very tough, as I said. But I'll let you start with the introduction.
Okay, so I won't keep a secret. Also, for me, Olympiacos is going to be is going to advance to the final this year, and I want to highlight that Fenerbahce is a very similar team to Olympiacos on the defensive side. They have really good statistic on the defensive part of the game with good defensive rebounding and good limiting through the percentage of scoring of the opponents. One thing that is very different is the free throws conceded per game, which Olympiacos is the best one with just 7 per game, while Fenerbahce is not very good with more than 11. So it's basically a thing that for free throws, maybe in a close game, could be a thing that is going to change. Another thing is that Olympiacos is a team that could force many turnovers, and Fenerbahce is one of the worst teams in the Euroleague with I don't remember the number, sorry, but I remember that they are the 19th for percentage of turnovers. So basically one of the worst, if not saying the worst in the Final Four. One thing is different, obviously, is the offensive side of the two teams, which highlight Olympiacos as one of the best teams or the best team at all this year in the regular season and in the playoffs against a poor Monaco. And on the other side, Fenerbahce struggled a little bit in the regular season to find a poor scorer, which they lost in Nagel Davis and Eric McCollum last year. They added Nando De Colo, but obviously is not the same player as he used to be. And they found it in Talen Horton-Tucker, also a rim, is not a rim runner, but a penetrator, I'd say, that could easily have easy baskets to the rim. But Olympiacos is not Zalgiris Kaunas. Fenerbahce outperformed Zalgiris by physicality, and every player playing for Fenerbahce was a little bit bigger and tougher than the Zalgiris ones. You can say maybe Demon Hall against Francisco, or Nick Melli against Dustin Sliva, the two names that are coming to my mind, but also Baldwin against Williams Goss, for example. But in this occasion, obviously, Olympiacos have better players and also tougher players that are not going to be outperformed by the Fenerbahce ones. So I think that helped. I think that helped Fenerbahce in the series before is not going to work this time. So I want to praise also the season of Fenerbahce, because it was not. For me, it is they also outreach the predictions, because with a team that lost Nigel Ice Davis, that was the key and the core of their offensive side. It was not guaranteed to be in the Final Four, even though the team is the same that won last year the championship. So I want also to highlight that Olympiacos is the better team, the strongest team, the beautiful team to see. So I don't have anything in contrast with them to be in the final championship against one of the two Spanish teams.
But I want to play a little bit the devil's advocate in this case and say that Fenerbahce, especially on the defensive side, has what can make Bartzokas' team suffer. So a solid defense, 5 players always ready to switch on every screen, and they're very physical, very well coached. And the Koloa side, there are no possible mismatches, in my opinion, for Vezenkov. There are no players who Walkup could possibly post up. So in general, no weak links in this defense, and that could be something very important for Fenerbahce on a positive side, and for Olympiacos on a negative note. But Olympiacos have some dominant centers, something that Fenerbahce doesn't have. Cam Birch, Chris Silva, Nick Melli, they all have an important height disadvantage compared to Nicola Milutino, and we could potentially see it on offensive rebounds. But apart from Silva, Melli and Cam Birch also have some athletic lacks compared to Donta Hall, to Derrick Jones. So also their rolls to the basket could be a very important key to this match. So it will probably be a game of matchups, and as I said, Olympiacos is probably going to win it. So Nicola Milutino and in general the centers would probably be very important in this game, but I want to know your opinion about this.
Yes, as you said, the matchups are going to be a key of the match, and it is usually the same in every Euroleague match. I have to say that Fenerbahce has not a deep rotation as the 2 Spanish teams and also as Olympiacos, because it is a little bit limited into the bench. The 2 or 3 American players that they added this summer to replace Nigel Rice-Davis were not the best ones, or they weren't adapting a lot to Fenerbahce style of game, as they are obviously Armando Bacot and helping me the other American guard,
Brandon Boston Jr.
They are the 2, and they have seen Cam Birch improving a lot in the series against Zalgiris, and I have to say also a little bit disappointing for me the impact from Bolzi Colson and Ian Tunen. If they wanted to have a chance against Olympiacos, they need some strengths from every player that is going to be playing in the match. And I think that if they stay close, especially in the first quarter and a half, it is going to be a close game, which could end in every scenario. But I do think that in some part of the second quarter, maybe the third, Olympiacos will have a boost of points and maybe turnovers in series for Fenerbahce that will lead to Olympiacos to have a margin that is going to be preserved to the final whistle of the referees.
Yeah, and I want to add a couple of things that came to my mind while you were talking about matchups, because my question mark and Bartzokas' question mark will probably be who is going to guard Wade Baldwin and Horton-Tucker while they're surrounded by other 3-4 wings and centers, because Thomas Walkup is an elite point of attack defender, but he's I think 15 or 16 kilograms lighter than THT. So if Dorsey will be realistically on Devon Hall, the only scenario that could make sense, in my opinion, is to start the game with Papanikolaou and put him on Horton-Tucker, then Dorsey on Devon Hall, and Walkup on Biberovic. But then the problem could be when there is Olwyn on the floor and there is no Papanikolaou, because obviously Papanikolaou can play 35 minutes, especially in a Final Four game, because Corey Joseph is too short to guard with Baldwin, and that would be a clear mismatch. And especially because the Fenerbahce player, when he shoots from a very high point, so it would be very difficult for Corey Joseph to contest it. But in this case, I think that Hrankan Tilikina might be the right solution for Olympiacos, and he might come back into the rotations and be the backup point guard to pick with Baldwin up. So this is the first big question mark, but the other one is on the other side, who is going to guard Vezenkov, because certainly not a smaller player. So Jan Toren, in my opinion, is not a great idea, because the Greek Bulgarian could easily post him up. But my question is, can you put Nick Melli on him? Because, you know, he's quick with his feet, but he is also not a great screen navigator. And we know that Vezenkov likes to go through a lot of screens, likes to cut a lot, to change directions quickly. So this is a very big dilemma, and in general, it is not easy to pair Vezenkov with someone defensively. My crazy solution could be having Chris Silva as the starting power forward, which sounds crazy, as I said, but it might be, something out of the box, because Silva has the physicality and the quickness to stay in front of Vezenkov. But I'm curious to see what Sarunas Jasikevicius will do in this game matchup wise.